Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. And picture this scenario: a nuclear arms race in the world's most volatile and chaotic region, the Middle East. Could you imagine not only the Iranian regime, the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, getting the bomb, getting the world's deadliest weapons, but then Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, and others all start jockeying to acquire the bomb, a nuclear arms race in the heartland, the hotbed of radical Islam, the Middle East. That's what would happen. That's exactly what would happen if Iran acquires the bomb. Not only that, the Iranian regime would use the bomb, wield it as a nuclear umbrella of sorts for its proxies, or what's left of them, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, that ring of fire that is so badly beaten down right now and licking its wounds. All of a sudden, they could revive with a nuclear Iran behind them. Not only that, hey, I'm sitting in America right now, and I believe the ayatollahs would use the bomb. They're not just going to sit on it. They eventually would use it because their ideology demands it, not only against Israel, the nation they call the little Satan, but I mentioned I'm sitting in America, the great Satan, in the words of the ayatollahs. There's a reason that the Iranian regime right now is working on developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs. Those missiles are not for Israel, not even for Europe. They're designed to travel across continents, travel across oceans. Those missiles are for the United States. And guess what? You develop ICBMs for one reason and one reason only, folks: to mount them with a nuclear warhead. All of the above are just a few reasons why the Iranian regime can never have the bomb. And yet we've got a growing chorus of voices, including right here in America, that are saying, no, let them get the bomb, no war with Iran. Look, no one's calling for war with Iran. What we are saying is a nuclear Iran is intolerable, number one. And number two, if you're going to do something militarily, this seems like the perfect time to do it after Iran, as I mentioned a minute ago, has seen its ring of fire pulverized by Israel over the past year and a half. Israel also destroyed a good chunk of Iran's air defenses back in October. Lay it all out, folks. And Israel and the U.S., if they so choose, have a clear path to striking those Iranian nuclear facilities. And yet, the pushback. Trump administration right now, there's internal debates over the Iran issue. The Trump administration holding nuclear talks with the Iranian regime. So what comes next and what should be done? The one and only Mark Levin, they call him the Great One, host of Life, Liberty, and Levin on Fox News every Saturday and Sunday night. Also, the Mark Levin Show, nationally syndicated talk radio show every weekday. Levin TV as well on The Blaze. Best-selling author many times over. Mark joined me today on my nightly TBN show, Stakelbeck Tonight, and he broke down not only the Iran nuclear threat, what needs to be done, but also Hamas, China, and the radical jihadists on American soil, and their alliance with the left, the radical left, an unholy alliance with rogue runaway judges having their backs. It's madness, but Mark cuts through the clutter and breaks it down like only he can. Take a look. Mark, you've been talking a lot on X recently, and for good reason, about the Iranian nuclear threat, in particular the nuclear talks ongoing now between the Trump administration and the Iranian regime, and this growing, I guess you would say, Mark, an isolationist wing that's pretty much saying, look, let Iran get the bomb, no war in Iran. By the way, no one is suggesting a war in Iran, but some of us are saying this may be a good time for surgical strikes against that Iran nuclear program. For every American, Mark, why is the Iranian nuclear program not just a threat for Israel or for the region, but for the United States as well?
You know, Eric, we were hit on 9/11. Who hit us? The Islamo-terrorists, the Nazis. Modern-day Nazis hit us. It's the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Dachau, Auschwitz. My wife and her mother right now are in Poland as we speak at Auschwitz. And I want people to think about the modern-day Nazis and what they would do with an atomic weapon, or what they would do with a biological or chemical weapon. What happened on 9/11? If they had had access to an atomic warhead or something worse, they would have used it, and they would have blown New York City off the face of the earth. That's how serious this is. They're trying to build, and they are building, intercontinental ballistic missiles. The title should tell people what that means. That's not intended for the region. That's intended for us, to cross our ocean and to hit our cities. We do not have an Iron Dome like the Israelis. We have no way to defend ourselves. if they were to shoot more than one missile over here. And if you can build one missile, you can build 100 missiles. If you can build 100 missiles, you can build 1,000 missiles. And even more than that, they can give this technology to other terrorist regimes. They can give it to terrorist groups. And so this will become utterly and completely unmanageable. Yeah. And I cannot understand and I cannot imagine us allowing this regime that is funding all the terrorism in the Middle East, that it's funding, at least in part, the anti-Semitism in our own country, that has vowed over and over again, death to America from its highest level to its phony parliament, to its streets. Why don't we believe what they're saying? We see what they're doing. They are cheating. They are lying on every deal they've ever made. They're terrorists. You can sign as many deals as you want with it. Look at this. We have a deal. Peace in our time. No, we don't. That man right there is an evil barbarian. He's a throwback. He's a primitive. And they believe the next life is the better life. And they believe their ideology, it's not Marxist and fascist, which is worse enough, bad enough. They don't believe in mutual assured destruction. They just believe in destruction. This is a death cult. That's their ideology, and they tell you about it. So the idea that they would get a nuclear weapon, and we have people in this country who claim to be conservatives or Republicans, who say that their foreign policy is a realist foreign policy, that they're tired of forever wars. So am I. So is everybody. Your complaint is with past administrations, past establishments, staff, past ruling class. But your complaint shouldn't be that we're staring evil in the eye, a terrorist regime in the eye, that is an eyelash away from having a nuclear weapon, and therefore you're worried about forever wars. Yeah. A nuclear weapon isn't a forever war. When the Enola Gay dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, it took 45 seconds to blow that city off the face of the earth, and 60,000 people with it. And we should have done what we needed to do to end that war, given the Battle of Okinawa and how many casualties we had. Yeah. That's not my point. My point is, can you imagine a death cult, a terrorist regime that says death to America with these kinds of weapons? I cannot. So the isolationists, the pacifists, the appeasers, the world has dealt with them before. Just because they're so-called self-identified influencers, bloggers, podcasters, they don't mean a damn thing to me. The fact is reality. This generation is being told by a death cult that they want to eliminate the United States, that they're within effectively weeks of having nuclear weapons, and for our generation to impose on our children and grandchildren and generations yet born, this kind of a threat is a sin. There is no way we can tolerate this.
No doubt. And the Iranian regime refers to Israel as the little Satan. Mark, as you said, America is the great Satan and the ultimate prize for them. About a minute left, Mark, before the break, then we will bring you right back. Pretty strong leadership, of course, in President Trump, Bibi Netanyahu right now. Are you confident they'll do the right thing going forward, regardless of the outside noise?
I am confident, but if I'm wrong, the Israelis will have to go alone, because the Israelis cannot tolerate a nuclear Iran. They just cannot. If they have to go alone, they will go alone. But I am very confident in Donald Trump. I first met him in 2015 at a Tea Party rally on Capitol Hill, and that rally was against the Iranians and the Iranian weapons, and he attended it as a private citizen in 2015, and I met him there, and he told that crowd, no nukes for Iran. He has said it ever since. Yeah. I believe him. He's a he's a wonderful man, and he's a man who believes in his promises, and I believe that this is one that he's going to keep for sure, 100%.
I buried the lead. Congratulations are in order. You were just appointed to President Trump's Homeland Security Advisory Council. Tell us more about that role, Mark, number one. And number two, I would think perhaps some of that relates to fighting back against the madness, the anti-Semitism that's reared its head in America's streets and on its college campuses.
Well, Eric, it's an independent council. There'll be several of us on this council. The president has blown out all the left-wing kooks off this council that Biden had put on there, and he has asked us to help contribute to setting advice and policy with the Secretary, Kristi Noem, who's fantastic, and him, on securing the border, and that department takes on a lot of responsibilities, from the Secret Service to TSA to immigration and to 100 other things. And so I'm assuming it was my background as Chief of Staff to Attorney General Meese and my hard line on most of these issues. And when the president asks you to do something, you do it. And this president, it is an enormous honor for me to have been chosen. And I didn't lobby for it. I didn't even know it existed, to be perfectly honest with you. But when he asked me, I thought it was a wonderful thing. And we will do everything humanly possible to protect this country.
Yeah, you're the right man for the job, Mark, no doubt. And part of that look is this rise in anti-Semitism. And Mark, we've seen it since October 7th. You would think after October 7th, people would get behind Israel and the Jewish people after the atrocity of October 7th. Yet in many cases, we've seen the opposite, in particular on American college campuses. President Trump now pulling funding for the likes of Harvard. What more can be done, Mark, to get these universities, get these colleges in line and put an end to this evil nonsense?
President has been nothing short of fabulous in this regard. He has a special unit set up in the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, a special unit set up at the Department of Education and their civil rights activities there. They're all coordinating with DHS. The Attorney General is involved, the Secretary of DHS is involved, the Secretary of Education is involved. He's looking at everything. He is defunding these colleges of federal grants and federal monies. He is looking at the tax status because they have these multi-billion-dollar endowments that are tax-free and they keep earning interest. And he said there's no reason to give tax-exempt status to these colleges and universities, particularly the Ivy Leagues, but not exclusively, that are doing little and certainly not enough to fight anti-Semitism in their faculty, in their administration, and among their student body. Not enough to protect the Jewish students there, and that they have a right to be protected, not just under the Civil Rights Act, but they have a right to be protected as human beings. And this sort of activity that's going on in these college campuses is funded in part by Qatar, Communist China, Iran, Hamas, and they're looking at those funding streams as well. And so this is very, very important what they're doing. Again, they're facing in some cases these federal judges like the case of Khalil and so forth.
Yeah.
These are not First Amendment issues. We're not talking about Rosa Parks here. We're not talking about anything of the kind. These are people who are vile, who are violent. If they're not personally violent, they're pushing these riotous protests. They're coordinating with foreign governments. They're coordinating with outside groups that have terrorist links, if not terrorist per se. And they are going to overthrow this country if we don't put an end to it, because there was a great report put out recently that talked about the fact that typically these organizations are spending as much time talking about overthrowing the quote-unquote American empire and attacking the police like the NYPD and other cops as they are talking about Israel. And they're really not even talking about Israel. They're promoting Hamas. So this is an enemy within. They're well-funded. They are using our Constitution against our Constitution. These radical left-wing judges are hurting us. And what you're seeing on these campuses, Eric, is really a fusion between the Marxist faculty and so forth, and the Islamists. And that's what's happening on these campuses right now. I think the administration is doing a tremendous amount to deal with this.
Yeah, it's really an unholy alliance, Mark. As you said, radical left, radical Islamist, and President Trump essentially is not just defending America, Mark. He's a defender of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. Along those lines, last question, about a minute left, Mark. You mentioned communist China. We've got a so-called trade war right now. The left-wing media is in a tizzy over it. Do you feel good going forward about the stance, the strong stance President Trump has taken against the Chinese communists?
The Chinese communists are our enemy. They're building a military one day to try and choke us off economically, navigable waters, air power. They're working with the Russians on military bases in the Arctic Circle. And they're working on weapons, hypersonic missiles and other types of weapons, nuclear submarines. They have, for a while, controlled both sides of the Panama Canal. They have bases in West Africa to aim at our coast, also in the middle of the Pacific. So they're an enemy. They're making it clear they're an enemy. This battle, economic battle, was just a matter of time. And I think what the president is doing is dealing with it right now, and worldwide. I think he is a free market, open market president who's saying, we're putting these tariffs in place. Now let's negotiate. We'll lower ours. You'll lower yours. So we have access to all our markets. We have access to all of your markets. And I think in the end, believe it or not, Eric, he's going to be closer to Milton Friedman than any president in modern American history.
Yeah, Mark, well said. At the end of the day, these seem like just common sense policies, but it takes Donald Trump, a man like him, to come in and push them through. Mark, great job as always, my friend. Folks, check him out, Levin TV, The Mark Levin Show, Life, Liberty, and Levin, and of course, all of his best-selling books, and on X, the great one, Mark Levin. Mark, always great to see you, my friend. God bless, Mark. Keep up the great work. Great stuff, as always, by the one and only Mark Levin. Folks, of course, every weekday, the Mark Levin Show, nationally syndicated radio show, talk radio show, and then every Saturday and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox News, Life, Liberty, and Levin. And check him out, Amazon.com, author of many great bestsellers. Always great to have Mark. And I interviewed him. You can watch the full interview, by the way, tonight on Stakelbeck tonight. You can catch it on TBN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, re-air at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, or you can check it out on the Stakelbeck Tonight YouTube channel. That's right. We've got this channel. We've got another channel as well featuring clips from my nightly TBN show, Stakelbeck Tonight. You can check that out, subscribe there as well. And look, follow me, folks, Facebook, X, Instagram. We're all over the place bringing you on the ground, in-depth, cutting-edge analysis from an unapologetically biblical perspective for such a time as this. Thanks again to Mark Levin. Thanks again to you for joining us. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.